Hello internet buddies, my name is Eve Power, and I write fantasy, sci-fi, paranormal under the pen name Dixon Reuel. Later this year I'm releasing my book series, my first book series. It's called Blood Brute, and it deals with how would vampires survive a zombie apocalypse. So in light of COVID and everything that's happening at the minute, it feels rather apt, unfortunately. You can see behind me these amazing covers, and I will send on the information of my illustrator. She's awesome. She created these wonderful covers and I then had them framed. So these two, On the Edge of Salt and Finding Home, are the two free prequel short stories to the first Blood Brute book. And they will be free and everyone can download them and read them. And they cover the events of what happens before Blood Brute Book 1, which is called Rise of One. If you couldn't tell, I'm from Ireland. I'm originally from Waterford, but I live now in Dublin. Hence the accent. Okay, so today I'm just going to read you a little bit from On the Edge of Salt, this one. Just quickly on Finding Home, this is actually set in World War I, so if you're any history fanatics, I have a degree in history. Yeah, that's World War I based. This one, On the Edge of Salt, is much more modern based. It actually happens in the summer of 2020, so right now, pretty much. Although Larne stood too far away to be seen in daylight, when the city's last night came, Rise still wanted to witness its destruction. As the spring night darkened and the hour spread towards the city's demise, Rise stood on the wide red brick wall encircling Owl Court. He faced east. Against the sky, the firebombs might be visible. Against the night sky, the firebombs might be visible. Whether such destruction was enough to end the zombie hordes wandering Larne, Rise had no idea. The news showed the firebombs that had ripped through other cities of the world, shown the ashen, ghost-empty aftermath. Those left alive and in charge and at the helm of such obliterating weapons told the world that these bombings were essential to eradicate the brute nests. But the Coven had stayed in Larne over 100 years earlier, before the four of them came to live in the little homestead of Owl Court at the top of Holly Hill. A city they had once, even if it was only for a short time, called home. So tonight, Rise made a point of witnessing Larne's destruction. Ogrim also stood on the wall, but on the far side of the courtyard, as apparently Larne held no interest to him. The eldest vampire performed his nightly rounds of ensuring nothing encroached upon their home. With the salted boundary, with the dawn incantation performed by the Coven, such rounds weren't necessary, but Rise tolerated it. Those rounds seemed to make Ogrim feel useful and kept him quiet. The main house's back door cracked open. Rise heard the light scamper of their cat Tom as he left the kitchen and made for the cowshed. Cypriot, their lone human, left the kitchen too with equal lightness. Rise only turned from Larne's direction when Cypriot climbed the ladder and hoisted himself onto the wall. He checked the power left in his torch before slumping theatrically against Rise's side. "What on earth are you doing out here? I thought only Ogrim came out onto the wall." Rise smiled properly now, especially at his dramatics. He opened one side of his ancient leather duster and cuddled Cypriot under his arm, blanket and all. As they shared body heat, Rise nodded to that specific point in the east. Larne's faint orange tinge on the horizon told of streetlights and skyscrapers, still some measure of civilization. "It's Larne's final hour. I want to see it happen." Then Rise added, "Don't you?" The Coven used only the oldest place names, never paid heed to what towns and cities were currently called. If they were to start remembering every time that a place changed its name, Ogrim always joked, the Coven would never get anything done. When Cypriot didn't answer, Rise glanced at the dark head cradled against his shoulder. Although the coven drinking from Cypriot's veins every week had lengthened his life far beyond that of any human, Rise noticed a lone grey hair amid all of that brown. Rise had also lived long enough to never, ever mention such a find to Cypriot. "What's the matter?" He squeezed his shoulders. "A city is about to be destroyed, Rise." Cypriot lifted his chin defiantly. "Why on earth do you want me to be out here for that? Salter doesn't want to be here. I'm sure Ogrim doesn't either." Surprised at the question, at Cypriot's distaste and the apparent distaste of the rest of his coven, Rise considered the orange-tinged darkness in the east. "It's important to witness things," he muttered after a while, although he grew uncertain. Cypriot deeply inhaled the night air. His brown-eyed gaze went far across the treetops into the empty world. A world that wasn't for humans anymore. Cypriot himself had decided, at the very first rumours of the zombie brute outbreak, to never, ever leave Owlcourt again. Rise had no answer. He had scoured the internet just as much as the rest of the coven, especially after news reports of how populations were decimated by brute outbreaks in a matter of months. And those populations were decimated again, this time by firebombs, to eradicate the zombie brutes left wandering those city streets. He had borne witness to the great emptying, and still he had no answer. Rise's ears caught it. Something approached from far away. Something heavy, large, the plane on its fateful journey to Larnd. But there was something else too, much closer, a shuffling. Rise waited to see if or when Ogrim would hear either sound. Rise wanted to test just how good was their eldest vampire's hearing. His own ears were the best in the coven. Rise could send his hearing abroad with skilled ease, like skipping a stone across still waters. Beneath the holly trees, bushes scratched and shushed. Footsteps thumped through fresh spring undergrowth. Something came to the boundary of their home with an uneasy, unearthly step. A figure stumbled from the thick ring of holly trees, but no human walked like this. No human skin hung from their limbs like sashes in a drapery, or whose face stared so blankly at the red brick wall. Rise took in the sorry figure, decrepit and unsure, like a lost child trying to remember the way back to its mother. It gazed at their home as if it remembered the safety of bricks and mortar and walls in some depth of its rotting skull. The news never showed them like this, on their own, by themselves, only ever in those great rampaging hordes that destroyed anything living, or indeed destroyed anything that stood in their way. The brute's limbs and jaws twitched, as if the zombie's puppet master were drunk, a forsaken thing that longed for once lost life. Now that's not the whole story, and I've cut little bits out just, for ease of reading and ease of listening. But yeah, that's On the Edge of Salt, where the vampires are in their home. They're going to watch the firebombing of Larnd, and the first brute, the first zombie, comes to their walls. And I have to keep remembering to look over here, don't look here or anywhere else. So yeah, I do hope you all enjoy the Blood Brute series when it comes out. So the first book is called Rise of One, and that will be out later this year. You can follow me on Twitter, you can join my mailing list, you can come on my website, you can add these books right now to Goodreads, and the first title, Rise of One, that's all on Goodreads as well. We're still working on the cover for that, but I know it's going to be just as amazing. It's so cool. Thanks for watching. Why am I waving yet? No, don't wave yet. Okay, thanks for watching. My legs are asleep. Take care of yourselves, especially in these times. I want everyone to just take a moment and just mind yourselves, okay? Good luck. Bye-bye. Slán.